Welcome to Thieves' Cant, a tabletop gaming podcast, with your hosts, Jeremy Shane and Chris White.
Welcome in and welcome back. It is Wednesday, March 11th. You've got Thieves' Cant. I'm Jeremy Shane.
And I'm Chris White.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for following at thievescantcast, emailing thievescantcast@gmail.com. Chris, hope you're doing well.
I'm doing great.
Yeah. We are back in the Forge of Creation today.
That's right.
Continuing to explore this heist setup that we got rolling a few weeks back. If you want to go back a few Wednesdays on the channel, you can catch parts 1, 2, and 3. Our initial setup for this heist, we used a lot of the tables in the Tome of Adventure Design from Mythmere Games to kind of randomly give us some elements to put into place. And now last week and this week, we're kind of speaking in more general terms of how to connect some dots, tie up loose ends. So do we need to recap what we've got to this point?
Yeah, maybe just the basic outline.
As briefly as we can. The PCs are on the trail of a mysterious item being created in the slums of the city in a blacksmith shop, a weaponsmith. We're pretty sure that this information at the outset is not player facing, that this item is actually going to be a ring of immortality. In fact, many people in the game world don't realize what's being made here.
Right.
We have a shadowy royal figure who has kind of put the pieces in place to have this ring made, has hired members of the Merchants Guild to acquire materials. They don't know what these materials are going to be used for. The weaponsmith, who has been acquisitioned for the task of making the ring, doesn't know exactly what he's making. The enchanter that has been hired to facilitate the magical components of the process doesn't really know what the ultimate product is going to be.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good synopsis of where we've been. And so today it's just kind of putting those pieces together and thinking about, what works here. How could we assemble all of this to make it fun and to make it a neat experience?
So today we want to take a look at what the defenses of this area might look like, what some of the adversaries that come into play might be. What are the PCs ultimately going to have to overcome? Because we know in game time, they have about a month before this item is completed and transported away for good.
Yeah.
So
I think, one thing that I've been considering is the building itself. I don't think a blacksmith needs a huge amount of space to do their work for the most part. And it wouldn't require in and of itself enough space to justify this big heist and all this drama. 1 or 2 small rooms is not probably going to be very exciting. So I kind of like the idea of maybe this is adjoined to or within maybe a large warehouse.
Okay.
I know we said we were in the sort of the slum area of whatever fantasy city we're in. So maybe this is the smithy itself is a small piece of a much larger, I guess you could think of it as a complex or a building.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
The other thing I was thinking about, because I like this idea that nobody knows what they're working on. And we know with this vault that we've been discussing, obviously there's certain elements that are going to be required that you kind of expect, right? There's fail safes. I mean, these people are serious. They've hired the best enchanter to help create this thing, the best blacksmith. And so it makes sense. I was thinking about it. Wouldn't you hire the best possible trap maker
Sure.
I mean, you would want the expert at their job. And so then that got me thinking, well, how does that play in to all of this? And so, you let me know what you think about this idea, but what if, every morning the blacksmith goes to work and the trapsmith, who is also under this employ of the same mysterious figure, goes in and basically bypasses all of those safety fail-safes, retrieves the item that is under construction,
right,
or that's being put together, the blueprints, whatever it may be, and delivers that to the blacksmith, who is then under supervision, does his work for the day, and at the end of the day,
locks it back up.
The item is retrieved.
This is all happening in the same structure.
Yes, obviously not in the smithy. Like, that's just where it's delivered, it's retrieved, and then he goes and puts it back into the vault. Air quotations, the vault.
I like it.
I like it too. And we've talked before that one of the dangers of a place like this, it's kind of cool at the same time, is that, like, when things exchange hands, though, or like when this blacksmith's working on it, that's a vulnerable moment.
That's a window of opportunity.
Right.
Right. For someone who might have their eye on this.
Right. It's cool when the players are on that point, but you're going to be mighty disappointed if, the blacksmith's working on it, the players rush in, grab the thing, and they're out, and they just bypassed all those cool traps and cool toys that you had set up there. So another thing was, we've talked about guards. I think this is where the guards are really, really necessary. We've talked about they hired the best enchanter, they hired the best blacksmith, all these things. They would be no different with the guards, right? These should be like champions. I mean,
like elite mercenaries.
Yes,
I like that.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like they are. Should not be the obvious option. You know what I mean? And it should be obvious to the player characters. Hey, these guys, at some point, and I think we need to block out as much of this, what they can see externally, but at the same time, we need to give them clues.
Sure.
That make it easier.
Yeah, if you're seeding this for a little while, right, and this is a known mercenary company, with a big name, some notoriety attached to it, then when the PCs piece together that, well, these mercenaries are involved here somehow, I mean, that should have an impact.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I think you want to make it pretty obvious to the players that this would be a tough fight, like a really tough fight. And I would not hesitate to arm these mercenaries with magical items, especially things that affect like detection. I mean, anything that can help them. Maybe there's some lenses that give them true sight or something. Because, I think on that end, especially in those very vulnerable spots, like where the blacksmith's working on it, things like that, a direct confrontation needs to have consequence.
Yeah.
And so, it's just understanding, hey, going through these traps is going to be tough, right? And so you don't want to make it a cakewalk for them to just grab it when the blacksmith's working on it or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, so working hours, this place is locked down under protection of this elite mercenary company.
Yep.
Going to be a challenging fight. Mm-hmm. Non-working hours, there might be a couple of those dudes still lurking about.
Sure.
But then you've also got all those traps to contend with, if you even know where this thing is being housed in the off-working hours.
Right. I mean, the mercenaries I'm sure they would have no-go zones. Like, hey, don't walk past that pillar because that guy's crazy, right? So, and even that, might provide clues to the players, as they're infiltrating this place. Because you have to think of a place like this in the sense that you want the players to make smart decisions and you want to give them the tips and the tools to do that. Yeah. But at the same time, a smart player can just bypass a lot of defenses. I mean, think about it. If somebody has a spell that lets them walk through walls, are they going to struggle with this? What fail-safes are in place to prevent that? And so I like the idea of, when you have the best infiltrator, like, maybe these things are tested. Maybe how cool would that be if you found out that like one of the best rogues, like maybe there's the Gray Mouse or whatever, whoever it is, like he was hired to try to break into this warehouse 3 months ago, just to see how it would go. You know what I mean? And maybe, and things might have changed since he was in there, but maybe they could talk to him and get some insight, but maybe he's like, yeah, I didn't make it. So there's a lot of things you could do here to, kind of amp up the tension.
Yeah. Well, and again, that month's worth of in-game play gives you ample opportunity to do so. I mean, what are the things, if they're staking this building out, what are they going to observe? Are they going to see like comings and goings?
Right.
Does the enchanter leave every evening?
Right. They don't live there necessarily.
Follow this individual?
Right.
Where do they go? So there are all sorts of directions this could spiral into.
Yeah.
Right. Players are going to do what players do.
They are, and we want them to. Right.
So as a GM, what do you need to be prepared for? Anything.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Which is not helpful.
Well, no, it is though. It's fun. Like, okay, because it makes your baddie or whoever these mysterious figures are better, right? Like maybe we'll tell the enchanter, and we'll figure out where he goes, and we'll capture him, and we'll get all the information out of him. Well, maybe the enchanter every day doesn't remember what he did. Maybe there's something that's being done for that. Or maybe the enchanter is accompanied by these mercenaries, and the blacksmith. Maybe they follow him home, and so they have a measure of protection while they're working on this job. So, I mean, when you have this shadowy figure with unlimited resources, there's a lot and this is something they want. This is this is the thing that they're after. They're going to get it.
All right. So certainly within gameplay, within the play of your game, this could go a number of directions, different locations. But if we're fixating only on this warehouse, I think the exterior of the warehouse matters.
Yeah.
Vantage points.
Sure.
Right. Any windows, anything of that nature. So that's an adventure location. Inside the warehouse, what are our prominent locations?
Right.
This is a big structure. I would say the smith itself, the forge itself.
Yeah.
Right. Where the daytime work is happening. And then, of course, our trapped area that leads to the vault itself, where this item is locked up.
Yeah, I mean, and
so
there's lots of
it's pretty confined.
Yeah, I mean, it's how you think about, like, is it a wide open space? I mean, obviously, you want to have the vault, or you want it hidden, right? It's not obvious right out in the middle of the room, right? So it's going to be hidden, and then the space in the warehouse. Again, is it wide open? Is it broken up into small rooms? Is it cluttered? Like, are there crates everywhere and things that obscure vision? Because, if you're going to try and sneak through here, it's probably easier to see traps if it's wide open, but it's also easier to see you if it's wide open.
Right.
Is there an alarm system? And how far do you want to take this? Do you want to make it a dungeon under the warehouse? Or do you just want it to be some, maybe just a small hidden room that's maybe off one of the walls, or that's not obvious, that's well guarded? What kind of traps are we talking about here? Is it just an alarm system? Is it deadly? Are we using poison? There's a lot to think about, and we're not really going into this is specifically what this is going to be.
But we want to keep this just general enough.
Yeah, and just those things to think about. But I love this idea because the players know there's a big reward, right? Whether or not they know specifically what it is.
They know it's important.
And they know that it's going to be a challenge. And so this is where everybody's like, okay, this is where the players are engaged. I would think, we've got time to prep. We've got time to figure out what's going on. We want to gather all the intel we can. but there is a clock that's ticking.
Sounds like all the makings of a good heist to me. Tell us how you've used a heist in your game. What's the last heist scenario your players engaged in? How did it go? What made it work well, or what were the pitfalls that led to maybe some undesirable outcomes? You can drop a comment below. You can email thievescantcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening today. That'll do it for this Forge of Creation episode. We're back tomorrow with some back booth banter. We're talking morale in your game.
That's right. Not morals. We gave up on that.
Can do without those. All right. Until then, it's been Thieves Can't. I'm Jeremy Shane.
And I'm Chris White.
So long.
Thank you for listening to Thieves Can't. Email thievescantcast@gmail.com.